Members of the committee, my name is Jules Bailey, and in this role, I am a Joe Schmo citizen volunteer who gets to have the actually very humbling role of being essentially the convener, the chairperson of Levee Ready Columbia. And I do this even though I live in Multnomah Village in Multnomah County at about 500 feet. And within this district that we're creating, I think my house is probably the least likely to be flooded in the entire area. But it is something of both regional significance and, frankly, statewide significance. So I just want to say a couple words about what Levee Ready Columbia is, because it relates to both this bill and the subsequent bills that you're going to be hearing, and then we can dive as far into the weedy details as you want. That's why Hong's here. So Levee Ready Columbia, we're a partnership of 20 organizations that are committed to a collaborative approach. And Senator Olson, to your point, there are a number of different government organizations that are at the table in Levee Ready Columbia who have been paying in for several years into this process and who are committed into the overall funding structure moving forward. In addition, we have community representatives, we have business representatives, we have environmental representatives, all working on this challenge. And what the challenge is we have this incredible asset and area behind the levees. And you heard some of it from the senators, from Senator Monis Anderson, Senator Frederick, and would have heard it from Representative Gorsuch if he'd been here. And we're really grateful for their leadership. But that's $16 billion in economic activity and associated tax revenue to the state. There's uncountable and uncounted natural resource and habitat value behind that levee as well. And what that means is that following 2005 and Hurricane Katrina, when FEMA and the Army Corps upped their standards and we lost certification of our levees, it put all of those assets in danger because we could lose FEMA accreditation at any moment. They could start that process at any moment. They could start it today. And we've been granted essentially a reprieve by the federal government because we are working on upgrading these levees, getting them recertified and staying accredited. But it is essentially an informal reprieve from the feds as we work through this process. They could start that clock at any moment. And what that would mean would be it would require expensive flood insurance for properties behind the levees. It would mean loss of federal help were there to be flooding or other disasters in that areas. And in general, I liken it a little bit to losing accreditation to Ghostbusters. Don't cross the streams. It would be bad. There is a lot of bad things that would happen if we lost accreditation. So Levee Ready Columbia came together to try to solve this problem in a collaborative and multi-jurisdictional way. So we know from the geotechnical work that we've done, and there's been a lot of very detailed engineering analysis of these levees to understand where they're falling down and where, not literally falling down, but where they're not up to standard. That there's approximately $43 million in basic repairs that are needed right now just to reach the bare minimum for certification. And we need up to $200 million to fully modernize the system. So it's a big lift, potentially. And to one of the earlier questions from Senator Bentz, we have drainage districts that are part of this system and have done a great job managing those systems for a long time and have helped protect us from flooding and manage drainage districts. But the reality is they cannot lift that entire burden themselves. And quite frankly, they shouldn't have to. Because somebody like me, who lives at 500 feet in Multnomah Village, uses the airport, benefits from the economic activity, drives on I-5 and I-84, and I should be helping with that as well. So what this bill does is creates a new governance approach that, as you heard, modernizes the governance system, allows it to consider things like environmental benefits, and expands the area under the principle of many hands make light work, and allows for all of Multnomah County within the urban growth boundary to assist with the maintenance and recertification and continued accreditation of our levees. I want to be really clear that Senate Bill 431 impacts only Multnomah County drainage districts and the drainage systems in the Columbia Slough watershed, no other district in Oregon will be affected. If other districts wanted to follow a similar model and discuss that, that would be up to them, but this bill does not affect those districts, so I want to make that really clear on the record. We also know that Senate Bill 431 still needs substantial work. And although we've been at this for about 5 years or more, actually, that it is not complete. We are taking a existing special district statute and adapting that statute for a specific purpose. And in doing so, every day we come up with a few things that still need to be corrected or ironed out. I think you have some letters in front of you from organizations that have been concerned specifically that the environmental portions of this bill haven't been adequately vetted. We are committed to continuing to work through that. And we have the issue of membership, for example, as Senator Roeblen discussed in the -1s that are still under discussion. But we felt it was important to bring this big, complex piece of legislation before the committee, before the legislature, to start the process of saying, this needs to happen. We need to modernize our system. We need to provide a funding and financing mechanism